Peace. It's the Hood Mystic. Just here to talk some consciousness, some universal law, maybe some esoteric and occult concepts, and give it some practical use. Today we're just gonna take some ideas and elaborate upon them, and hopefully give you some enlightenment that you could actually use. So the first concept that we're going to talk about is as above, so below, or as within, so without. That is a metaphysical concept. That is a spiritual concept that states that your inside world is a reflection of your outside world. And in society, we are taught the opposite. We are ingrained from a young age to think opposite. We are taught to get our satisfaction from the outside world, and thus leaving us in a place of confusion, because the outside world seems as though it's never ending, it's unsatisfactory. We accomplish goals and still we're left with an emptiness, a lack, because what we are dealing with is mainly the ego. And the ego is likened to an egg, the shell of an egg. And that shell does not want to get cracked, because once that shell is cracked, then no one no longer cares about the shell any longer. So now imagine a society where eggs were dressing up and going to college and doing all of these things and never really understanding the importance of the yolk, that which is within it, the soul or the spirit. So with that being said, we're going to transition to another famous occult metaphysical concept called the Baphomet. Now I just want you to take a step back and don't be afraid of the picture, but I just want you to just think about it from a different angle. If I needed to explain spirituality and I needed to incorporate different symbols into an image, this is kind of what it would look like. And ultimately, it's not to scare you, but it is just different symbologies that's going on within this picture. So let's just take a step back, because what we are trying to do is cultivate within us, just like the egg, just like the shell. We are not trying to cultivate the shell. We are trying to cultivate the yolk. And to explain the yolk is kind of messy at this point, but that's just because we don't understand what it's becoming. But we're going to get into it. So a couple things I just want you to look at. On his left arm, it is the word solve, and on his right arm is the words coagulate. Now, if you are just looking at this picture, you're not understanding the symbolism, then that thing would just go over your head and you would just be in your emotions. But let's just take a look at what it is trying to say. Solve et coagula is a Latin phrase, and ultimately what it means is separate and together. So when you think about yolk could be many different things. You could boil an egg, you could scramble it, you could whip it and make a key lime pie, or you could It's good for keeping things together, is what I'm trying to say. So ultimately, but in order for it to get to a particular level, it has to deal with some type of adversity. It has to be heated. It has to be whipped. It has to be scrambled. It has to be through some type of adversity to find some type of purpose. Otherwise, it's just slimy yolk. So understanding that this is a spiritual transformation that must happen, but see, the thing about consciousness and the thing about human consciousness is that it's all about the ego. It's all about the shell. Now I need you to really think about how ridiculous human beings are in this present day, where the shell is more important than the actual yolk. So we need to come back to a place of natural understanding of ourselves and not judge ourselves, and get past all of these superficial mentalities and get past that. This isn't a beauty contest. This isn't about, what are you wearing or what are you doing. This is really about cultivating your spirit and understanding your spirit, because see, the shell doesn't want you to know that the power is within the yolk. The shell just wants to survive. The shell just wants to be. But you need to understand, I'm speaking on terms of cooking the egg, but say for instance, you don't cook the egg. Say for instance, you just let the egg sit, or you nest it, or you protect it. See, that the shell has a purpose. The shell is there to protect the soul as it cultivates. Now, it's going to go through some things. It's going to be tested. It's going to be predators and things of that nature. But if you give it enough time and you cultivate it and you protect it just enough, guess what happens? A bird hatches. But ultimately, we got to let the ego go. But we got to recognize the purpose of the ego. This thing isn't to glorify the ego. This thing is to glorify the soul, or the spirit, or the yoke. In church, when they speak about relationships, they would use the term, if the relationship isn't working, they say, oh, you guys aren't equally yoked. Because this thing that they're putting in front of you is not allegory, it's reality. But you have to really take a step back and really understand these metaphysical concepts, and I'm going to explain why. Because your power resides in your consciousness. Thus, what you are looking for, you could never acquire it because you already have it. Thus, the only thing that you must develop is your consciousness. Anything that you ever would accomplish, anything that you ever would possess, would enter into your mind, and it would be something that you would have to get out there and actually do. But you don't get out there and do things without actually thinking about it and actually using that power, using that inner power, working with that as above, so below. Understanding that the stars and the vastness of the universe is as above, so below is. So let's go back to the egg. When the mother bird hatches the egg, it is nothing but some slimy, gooey, just nasty substance that is of no value or nothing. But we know what's going to happen with the egg because we've seen it many times, like the gods, right? They know what's going to happen. That's why they say God knows all, because we know that if you cultivate it, if you just be patient a little bit, it's going to turn into a bird. But somehow when it comes to our consciousness, we can't understand that. It's all about the shell. And we never take a step back and understand things from an inward perspective, a powerful perspective, an actual reality that we know that, well, maybe the thing of it is that we don't know because we are the actual egg and the actual yolk and the actual, we don't know the future, but your spirit knows. Something in you knows that you are going to be just fine no matter what. Thus, we need to tap into that voice that says everything that's going to be more than okay. That voice that says, I can take, you have the ability to change your reality by using this source, this power, or this knowing of what because what I'm trying to say is, of course you know, but you actually don't know. But if you took a step back and just thought about anything that has to incubate, anything that has to grow, it's going to happen. Thus, dealing with that principle of knowing that everything is going to be okay, it's hard to be down for so long, is what I'm trying to say. Understanding that your choices and decisions are what is going to make your life be what it is, that's a hard thing to accept, but it's necessary. So understanding that our thoughts are represented as causes and the effects are the conditions that we find ourselves in. If we want to change our condition, we have to change our thoughts. The positive, the harmonious existence, we're thinking correctly. The sad, the pain, the blaming, looking at people like they your enemy, we thinking wrong. We not using our power. We outsourcing our energy, and we not using it because our power is within. Our power is in knowing that we're going to turn into an ego one day, because this is nature. If you look at an egg, if you look at a bird, if you listen to what people say about how the soul is a bird, and you just if you go the fuck outside and you see birds flying around, then you know that it's a reality that is. If I swear, I seen a butterfly the other day, and I was just thinking like, damn, I knew when he was a caterpillar, he had no, like, imagine that. You just crawling everywhere on trees, and then one day, you just stop, and then you just start flying. This is our reality. But the caterpillar did not just fly overnight. He didn't even fly because he wanted to fly. He had to go up in that cocoon, which is represented as going within. Gaining that light from within, developing his wings, and he transformed. This is what we're talking about. This is nature. This is nature. And we are nature beings. We are nature. So the first picture that I showed is of the tree. And he says, no tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Now, understand what I said. I'm going to keep bringing up that egg, because understand that heat, understand that any type of trauma, any type of pain, that ain't for bad. That is cultivating your spirit. It is making your spirit more firmer. So, peace. Understanding life. Understanding light. Understanding wisdom. Understand the reason that I'm even doing a video like this. Because my people live in a dark room. They do not understand their pain, their sorrow. They do not understand why they are in the condition that they are in. Because they are in a dark room. So what needs to happen? They need to gain light. So they can see. So they can be like, oh shit. A bench or a rock. Let me move to the left. Move to the right. Let me adjust. Let me gain some light. Let me gain some wisdom. Let me understand the universal laws. Oh, let me understand that I'm not a shell. Actually, I'm not even black. Actually, I'm a spirit. Okay, let me deal with the science of that. That's a reality. Whether you niggas in church talk about spirit and like no matter what, wherever we go, when the music cut on, you see the spirit. Whether they on the drums, on the guitar, whether somebody dancing, whether somebody singing, whether somebody telling a joke, whether somebody is, doing a performance, you see the spirit. Whether somebody's drawing a picture, whether somebody's cooking some food, you see it. Thus, we need to deal with it. We need to understand it. We need to gain light. We need to see. We need to get out of this dark room. We need to understand the universal laws that the Creator has left for us to read and study and apply. And the problem with it is that we'll read it, but we will not apply it. We will not see. And not applying it is no light. Like the light helps you see. The light, once you see, you're able to move. You can move in the dark. That's why niggas do great shit all the time. And then what happened to him? He's in the dark. Kanye is in the dark. All these rappers are in the dark. All these basketball players are in the dark. All these women are in the dark. All these people that you guys worship, they're in the dark. They don't know where they're going. They don't see around them. They can't understand because it's about light. It's about wisdom. You don't get wisdom from knowledge. Anybody can have knowledge. Anybody can read books. Anybody can repeat the universal laws verbatim. But what's wrong? Why haven't our conditions changed? Why are we still waiting on somebody to change our conditions for us? When is that lecture going to come out? Or why is the information that you're giving me so complicated that I'm so overwhelmed that I'm going to just give up and just do what I've been doing, because what you're doing is actually not helping me by giving me this information that is overwhelming my brain, and it's not even helping me because it's not even right. Because what's right is that you are infinite, you are powerful, you are spirit, you've been here before, you're going to be here after. Who gives a fuck if an egg cracks? As long as you can get a pan up into there quick enough and fry that shit. Nobody cares about the shell. But somehow human beings have been tricked to care about the shell and not give a fuck about the yolk. Except when it comes to relationships, make sure they're equally yoked. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about your power. I'm talking about what you and I can use right now. Go within yourself and say, look, this is how the shit is going to be. Instead of complaining, crying, and hoping somebody do it for you. And I know this is to be true because I am the worst. But I'm the worst because I had to be the worst, because my roots had to go that deep so I can go that high. And I always knew that. Thus, I never let negativity define me. It was just a part of my spirit, wanted to experience it, and I was spirit-led in situations that I don't even talk about or would ever speak about, but yet and still, I still understand where my power lies. My power lies in the present, not in the past, not in the future, because I'm spirit, and no matter wherever my consciousness is, it's always going to be now. Whenever you hear that, it's always going to be now. Whenever you hear my voice, it's always going to be now. Thus, that is where your power is. Your power is not behind you, because you already are your past, you already are your future. The only thing that matters now, what are you doing now? Are you dealing with your power, or are you dealing with your weakness, which is this shell? This shell is very fragile. You got to keep it on the top of the groceries, because if you put it on the bottom of the groceries, especially if you can't put the juice on top of it, because when you get home, a couple shells gonna be cracked. It's very fragile. The ego is very fragile. You don't know it. He knows it. So he will weave into every single one of your thought and try to latch on. So ultimately, let's learn ourselves. Let's develop our consciousness. Let's grow. Let's gain light. And let's continue to build. This is just part one. I'm just now getting started. So you know where we headed with this one. And just remember, less is more. And it's not about being popular. It's about gaining light and changing your reality, building wealth, and taking care of these babies. Showing these babies a better way. So, with that being said, the Hood Mystic, and I'm signing out. Peace.